Alright, well, folks, what's up? Rich Van Tassel back with you later on today, Sunday, doing the Celtics report. Of course, they had the game against the Chicago Bulls. I was waiting for that to go final. It went final a while. It went final a while ago, so I'm doing the video now for the Celtics report. They had a pretty tough week up until that victory over the Chicago Bulls. It started last week with the loss. We did the video then on the road trip to the Phoenix Suns. They then lost to the Clippers the next night. Were able to beat the Warriors. You thought they might be able to come out of the road trip all right, relatively unscathed, but then they just gave one away against the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets are a team they've struggled with all season long. The Nuggets routed them early in Boston and then beat them by 20. I don't know what it is. They just don't seem to match up against the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets, Jokic went off and all that. But, the Celtics, for being as good of a defense, or having the defensive caliber players that they do have, should be able to hold Denver to under 120 points, which they did at 119, so it's not that impressive. They shouldn't even be giving up that many points. You look, their defense has been coming along, too. Prior to that point, they gave up 99 against the Lakers, or against the Cavaliers, 95 against the Lakers. That Suns loss where they gave up 109, and then the Clippers where they gave up 116. But the Warriors only 86 and then 119 against the Nuggets, but then 80 it against the Bulls. Now the Bulls were just shooting terribly in this game, so you can't put much stock into it. But even a better shooting day by the Bulls today wouldn't have resulted in that many more points. They shot altogether 37.9, so 38% from the floor on 38 shots, 28% from behind the arc, which isn't great, but it's certainly nothing where you look at 28% from behind the line, 7 of 25, and think, oh, that's just completely wretched. So you figure, let's say they made one more three more twos, that would have definitely upped their shooting percentage to right around 40%, which would have been a much, better defensive, I shouldn't say better defensive game. It would have been more indicative of a higher defensive game than it would be just poor shooting. And the Bulls would have still been under 90 points. So the defense was there. Just the 80 points really brings it down because of the poor shooting. We know the Celtics have a pretty favorable schedule coming up. A lot of home games. They do have a game. It won't be until Wednesday. They got a couple days off, Monday and Tuesday here. But then they have the Minnesota Timberwolves coming into town. The Timberwolves are a team that's coming along pretty well, so you can't overlook them. They overlooked opponents already in the Phoenix Suns and the Denver Nuggets, so that's going to be an interesting one. Then they got the Nets and the 76ers. Those are two road games, but pretty easy travel. Then they come home for 6, and that takes you right to the end of the month before they go back on the road again. So you look at it, they have a bunch of home games coming up. That's really where they're going to have to make noise. They're, of course, now tied with Washington, but behind percentage points-wise for the second spot in the East, because in April they have 6 games. They split them both 3-3 at home and on the road. So they finish off the rest of this month with 7 games at home, 2 on the road, and 2 road games that are pretty bad opponents. But hey, we know what they've done against bad opponents of late, but not even brutal travel to Brooklyn and to Philadelphia. I don't know how they do that. I'm guessing they don't fly. Maybe they do fly, but if that's a flight, that's what, like 40 minutes of a flight at most. So really, the travel is not anything that's a problem. That's a Friday and Sunday moving forward. Jaylen Brown, his game's coming along. Don't get me wrong, but we're seeing a lot of forced play, a lot of sloppy play. He's, trying to make, I think he's trying to do a little too much. Not do a little too much, I should say, like he's pressing. I think he's trying to, as he progresses, as he continues to come along, he's starting to, bring his level of game up. Oh, I can do a little more. Let's see what more I can do. So that's just something to keep an eye on as well. I don't think he's pressing necessarily, but the more he does, the better he keeps getting, the more he tries to add to his game. So I think he might need to just slow himself down a bit at times. He tries to run the floor pretty quickly and, turns the ball over, kind of gets caught up with his dribble at times. He had 11 points today. He's still looking good, in my opinion, for a potential steal of the Rookie of the Year, so we'll keep that in mind. That's something to look at, though, is, he's got to keep his game in check at times, kind of put the governor on the points. Avery Bradley starting to come back along nicely. They had that dynamic backcourt to start the season, and now it's really starting to come along that Avery Bradley's back in the lineup. That's going to help their defense. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. Hopefully Bradley can stay healthy. Al Horford has had two much better games of late since he's come back from the injury. He was plus 25 today, starting to put up the points. I'd like to see them run more plays for Al Horford. Shot 5 for 7 today. The numbers are down, but they don't really run the offense for him that much. They don't really run that many plays. A lot of times it's just him at the high post or sending screens and then picking and popping. Or if he goes to the post down low, he'll just go one-on-one. I'd like to see a few more plays, so keep an eye on that as well. But again, favorable schedule coming up. Let's hope the Celtics don't look down on their opponents. This Minnesota game. Minnesota is fighting. We talked about in the regular NBA report how they just beat, Golden State the other night, as the Celtics did. Played well against the San Antonio Spurs team. Their team that has been, like 13-10 in the last 23. Nothing spectacular, but a team that just got off to a start where they weren't winning those games. Now they are. And certainly Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins are nothing to look past. So we'll see how they do that. So it's going to start with that game. Got 2 days off. Let's see if they can keep this rolling and not slip back, because they got a lot of work to do if they want to, of course, catch Cleveland, and of course stay ahead of Toronto and now catch Washington. So there's a lot of dynamics that can go on with the rest of the way for where their positioning will be come the playoff time. So keep an eye on that. All right, so that's it today. Be sure to stay tuned for any flash alerts, all those good things that we do. And remember that we appreciate all subscriptions as well. So we'll check you out in a little bit. And thank you all so much. Have a good one.